they don't listen that much. You probably have noticed that already. But you see, when you're together with other people and you're talking about the things which are filling up in your life, filling up in your brain, then you have to think about another thing, that is, people in general, they are talking about things that have their interest. They are talking about things they see in television, they're talking about the daily life. And that's where you have changed. Because perhaps these kind of things are not really of your interest anymore. Because you're completely filled up with these thoughts, frustrations, and feelings which are more or less taking your part. So while they're sitting there talking about a new car they have bought, or they're talking about a football game, or they're talking about last time they went fishing with a friend, or they're talking about the work, you're talking about the problems you have. You're talking about perhaps weird and strange thoughts which they can't reckon anything about. They can't compare it to anything in their life. Perhaps when you're together with them, you're crying a lot and often, and it makes them frustrated. They would like to come up with a solution straight away, which is the most common thing people do when they listen to other people who have problems, is they come up with a solution straight away. Things like this. Okay, so you have this and this and this problem in your relationship. Yeah, but it's very simple. If you just do like this, and he or she can do like that, and then you can do like that, and you can all do like this. Very simple, and people come up with this solution. And you start talking a little bit about what the deepest thing inside yourself is all about. And they very soon, within 5 minutes, interrupt you and come up with a solution. You probably have met that. This is a habit we people have, to come up with a solution. Why do we come up with that solution? Because we don't like to see you suffering. We don't like to see other people suffering. On the other hand, it also makes us frustrated when we are not really able to do something. So we really want to do something to help you. Therefore, we come up with a fast solution. And then another thing is that we actually have a lot of problems ourselves. Did you actually know that all people in this world have their own problems? How do you think it looks like inside even the most successful man or woman if you watch them on television? So by coming up with a fast solution, we can move on to the next one we want to say ourselves. By coming up with a fast solution, we are able to help you out straight away, and that gives us a good feeling, and we feel ourselves that it helps you. And the truth is, well, yeah, sometimes it helps, but it's not uncommon that it doesn't help at all. It just makes you more sad and more depressed. Did you know that if people are talking more than 10 minutes, you'll never get their attention? That's very difficult to put a whole life story in 10 minutes, isn't it? And the problem is that perhaps you actually need to talk for 2 hours. So one of the reasons why they don't understand you is because it takes too long time to listen to all of these weird things which is going on and these strange thoughts you have. All of these frustrations you have, all of these feelings which needs to be talked over again and again and again until they finally find this spot in your brain. And that's what it's all about, that all of these thoughts and all of these sadness and whatever it could be, they need to find the right spot where you can put it, like park a car. So you park the thoughts in a certain way. And people don't have the patience to listen to things like this. That's one of the reasons why you have the feeling they don't understand you. And you cannot force other people to understand you. It is very difficult to force other people to understand because they perhaps have never been in a situation like yours. So how about you try something new? Don't expect them to understand you because they'll not be able to anyhow. Only a very few people will be able to understand you, and that will be the ones which are listening to you, really listening for a long time. People which is not coming up with a solution, just listening to you, talking yourself out of the situation. Because the more you talk about this, the more you'll change the things, and the more it will everything will be like parked a car in a parking lot. Parking the thoughts that way. And if you're really strongly depressed, it's very common that people having the habit of being more and more quiet. And that is very difficult for people to understand, that you have a person sitting there in a funny society, where everybody's having fun for a party, and then you have a person sitting there which really looks like the person is in a bad mood. So trying to communicate your situation out to other people can be a solution, but it is very difficult for them to understand. But it's worth a try for sure. It really is worth a try. All actions are better than no actions in this direction. So why don't they understand me? My best solution is work with yourself, try to understand yourself, and try to be way more open-minded. It's a little bit difficult to say, and I definitely know it's difficult to reach, especially if you're strongly depressed. But it's part of a process where you're moving on towards something new, and those other people have to see that, and they have to adapt to that. Have patience with everybody, and don't always talk about yourself. But I'll have to admit that I really doubt that you do. A lot of people, if you're listening to this, it's because probably you're not talking much about your depression. And that's perhaps also why people, they have difficulties understanding you. Try to communicate with other people. Find a few people to communicate with them.